The law, when not applied equally, is not the law. It's a political weapon used to attack, control, and persecute a particular ethnic, social, or political group. Many of us will remember the mostly peaceful riots which blighted London during the pandemic following the death of George Floyd, the latest martyr in the race wars which spawned rioting and murder for more than 100 days in the United States. Calls of Black Lives Matter quickly found their way into British mouths as well, as millions upon millions in donations were fleeced from worthy souls to buy large mansions in Californian canyons. Many of us will remember our own police kneeling before the mob in compliant supplication. Many of us will also remember that we were supposed to be in the midst of a deadly pandemic. And if we were in the midst of a deadly pandemic, then why were people mingling in such close proximity to each other in horror at some distant tragedy? The thing we learned during those times was even deadly pandemics can be put on hold in the face of righteous and virtuous outrage. Many of us will also remember the anti-lockdown marches, ignored by the media, but not by the batons of the police. 1 minute kneeling to a mob, the next savagely beating those making a stand for freedom. Those days are past, now to be replaced not by fear of a virus, but by fear of the climate. Nudge, 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 nudge. Yet those of us who lived through the two-tiered political policing, the othering, the ruthless suppression of free expression and free movement, remember all too well as the echoes return and come back for this approaching weekend. The British are a quirky, intolerant bunch, almost to a man, so careful to be respectful of others' religions, traditions and cultures. Is this because we are tolerant, or because other cultures demand that their religions and traditions are tolerated? Is it because they take their culture seriously in a way that Britain doesn't anymore? It seems we're in the process of finding out. And so, to Remembrance Weekend and Remembrance Sunday, if there is ever a tradition which brings Britain close together more than 100 years since, it is the remembrance of the hundreds of thousands sent to their deaths in war. Entire generations of men wiped out in that vile murder factory. We remember them for all the wasted life. We remember them in gratitude for the ultimate sacrifice that they made for us. We remember them in sorrow and in hope that such horrors may never happen again. But those who hate this country have brought a foreign war to our streets today, and they chant for the obliteration of the Jewish people. And for once it seems that Britain, across the political spectrum, has had enough. Terrorist sympathizers tear at pictures of kidnapped children. They chant for the end of Israel in the streets. They goad, bully, and attack our culture and last remaining traditions. They hate this country with a deep and visceral hatred. To those who have taken over London and other cities calling for jihad since October the 7th, every symbol of Britain and her culture is a reminder of the oppression they feel and claim, while smashing the windows of Jewish shops and frightening an entire community into staying at home. Perhaps the most damning indictment of all for a mayor who trumpets diversity is our strength, while clearly meaning that only some diversity is. The unfolding tragedy in the Middle East weighs heavy on everyone's heart. Humanity doesn't discriminate in pain for all innocents killed in war, children especially, Muslim or Jew. All lives matter. And it is therefore my sincerest hope that this most appallingly timed and insensitive march, an intimidating show of force, profound hatred and deep disrespect for Britain itself, passes without incident. It is also my sincerest hope that the counter-demonstration is peaceful and extremely resolute in return. Whatever happens, the events played out on the streets of London and across the West have been brought into sharp relief, the consequences of the utopian multicultural experiment. There are millions living in the United Kingdom who have not assimilated into our culture as the politicians promised with gleeful insistence. There are millions for whom our own flag is a symbol of oppression and hatred. There are millions who wish to see the end of everything Britain stands for. There are millions, and their number is growing every single day.